Hello, we'll be getting ready to start the webinar shortly. We're just waiting for more people to join. So for those of you who are wondering whether there's sound, we're just waiting for more people to join, and then we'll start the webinar. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm cognizant of time, so I'm just going to go ahead and start the webinar. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Maria Budrum, and I'm the Assistant Registrar of Registration. And I'm here today to introduce the final webinar for our new online registry system. So as you know, we've started the design and build for the new system 2 years ago with our partners at Foster Moore, who are the global experts in building electronic registry systems. To date, we've held 4 webinars covering various aspects of the system. Today's webinar will be led by Mr. George Outerbridge. He will start off with providing you with a few updates. We'll then hand it over to Shamika Place, Technical Officer in the licensing section. She'll cover the filing of a license, and if we have, or we should have remaining time, and with that remaining time, Mr. Outerbridge will review the proper usage of user accounts, debit accounts, organizational accounts. Of course, the Registrar of Companies and Foster Moore teams are on hand today to answer any of your questions that you have during the webinar. And I'd like to thank all of you for attending the webinar today. So with that, we'll start now. I'm going to turn it over to George. Go ahead, George.
Thank you, Maria. Okay, just an sure we're all happy to be getting towards the end of this series of webinars. First of all, I'd like to start with some general updates. The Registrar of Companies is very cognizant of the amount of update profile filings that have to be made at this time. We have currently processed over 4,000 of them in-house, and we have about another 2,000 to do. So we are processing them as fast as we possibly can. All of the ones that we currently have and that will be submitted this week, we are looking at getting finalized by the end of this week, so that they are clear and ready for filings for Monday. If you have any that require an urgent filing, you can reach out to the registration agent in charge of that portfolio, and we can put that one up so that you can make your filing. One big update that I'd like to give everybody is concerning the economic substance declaration filings. Now, the deadline for those is currently June 30th. The Registrar of Companies has decided to extend the deadline for those until July 31st. So you now have until July 31st to submit your economic substance declarations. Additionally, I just wanted to give you updates on some of the current challenges we are facing. We were facing an issue where people were not able to save their economic substance declarations filings once they had started them. This was after they had authority to make filings on behalf of that entity. That issue has been fixed. So now, if you are the registered user and you have received authorization to make filings on behalf of that entity and have completed the update profile service, you can now go in and start and save your economic substance declarations and eventually submit them once you are ready to do that. As we go through this webinar, we'll be having questions and answer sessions in between the services. So as Ms. Boudreaume stated, we're going to be handing this off to our licensing department to do a demonstration of a license application. After that, we will be able to answer some questions concerning that. And then I will go into other options on the system as far as proper uses of the organization, user accounts, and debit accounts. And we'll be able to answer additional questions. One last thing, we have been inundated with emails from the industry, and we are attending to each one of those ones individually concerning any issues that they might have had as far as utilizing the system. One thing I just wanted to point out, when you send in an email to report an issue, it's the best thing to do is to give us as much information as possible. So that would include using the user that you are logged in under, the entity you are going in under, the service you are trying to perform, and also what steps you took to bring up that error. And screenshots are always appreciated because that helps us to identify the error and assist you better. Our technical officers are currently answering the ones that we can answer through email. We're answering them as soon as possible in the order received. And in addition, we are also calling people back to assist them and work through the system. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Shamika Place, and so she can do the demonstration of the license applications.
Thanks, George. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. So there will be a list of companies that you will have pre-populated for any updates that you will have done for every company that you're responsible for. So I'm going to go under your items to look for the company and just choose, this is a test company, but you would basically choose the company that you need to apply for a license on behalf of. So here, you're able to see the company details. And then you have a tab here that says licenses and consents. When you scroll down, you'll have a number of options as you see here. Apply for a license to carry on in Bermuda. Apply for a license to sublease in Bermuda. And the other two we're not going to cover today. These would be the land applications, which are on the registration side. So for licensing, for your 129A and 114B licenses, you're going to choose the first option just to carry on business in Bermuda, or the second one, when you want to sublease, if you're an exempt company, just sublease some property. All right. So these questions are pretty straightforward. If this is a brand new application for this company, then you're gonna hit no because it's not a renewal. Your legal notice publication needs to be uploaded. So the act calls for your notice to be published a week before you apply. So once that happens, you can take your screenshot off of the Royal Gazette and adhere or input the PDF here. The ownership structure chart is also a requirement. I'm just going to use a dummy document. Business plans, if applicable. And then your requested license term. So typically, as we know, licenses are issued in 5-year increments. For the hotel industry, there may be more, it may be a higher number. So if you're applying on behalf of a hotel, you're welcome to put in the number of years you'd like. And then it will be up to the minister to approve an appropriate number. I'm going to say here, you should put in the terms that you want to show on your actual license. However, in this system, the license, once it's approved, will not be printed from here. We have to do it on the outside of this system because the minister has to physically sign the license. So for the purposes of this webinar, I would just put in the terms. And then you could put in additional details on the business activity. All right, so then next you have the considerations. What I didn't see here is that you could choose whether you're local or exempt. I think what this system does is it chooses it for you depending on how the company is registered. So if the company is registered as an exempt company, then it will pull up the 129A. I'm sorry, no, these are just the considerations. So I'm not sure how it's doing that, but it'll select the right one. No worries there. So for these considerations, while they are required in the system here, I'm going to refer back to the paper application that you guys will be filling out, because the system doesn't allow for the authorized signatories to attach their signature in the system. So all I'm going to do is refer to application. You're going to have to put it in for all 4 because they're required fields. And then here, you can either choose here or further down to upload the actual application. The standard conditions are here, which will be reflected on the license that's printed. So these are standard conditions. If there's anything that needs to be added, what we'll do is we'll be corresponding with you to let you know if something's going to be additional to the set of conditions that you see here. Now, these conditions are typically found on a 114B license, not the 129A. So you can also suggest additional conditions if that's applicable to your situation. The standard revocation clauses are included on the license, but at least it gives you a snapshot of what it's going to look like. Then you're going to have to check the box for this declaration. Again, you can upload your signed application here. Which is what we'll use to then communicate with the minister for the ministerial considerations. So the ministerial considerations are required, but they're all going to be included in your electronic application, which will be uploaded in this website, okay? Save and continue. Now, if you look over to the right, you see there's a exclamation mark. There's something that I missed. So I'm going to have to just click here to go back. It's asking for the register of members. So again, I'll just upload a dummy document. Oh, and the ownership information. Interesting. All right, so once all that's done, you can save and continue. Beneficial owners are applicable. If they are, you're going to hit yes and add your beneficial owners. So you would add that beneficial owners information in here. I believe that we don't have the options for state or what have you, but you can enter all the address information in here. The email for the owner is optional. You don't have to put that in there. Jurisdiction of residence. It's a comprehensive list. Percentage of ownership, and then commencement date as beneficial owner. So I'm just going to hit cancel. And in order to bypass this, I'm going to have to hit no for beneficial owners. But if you do that, you have to identify the exemption. And there are only 3 that you can choose from. So if you don't have an exemption, you will have no choice but to enter your beneficial owners. So I'm just going to select one just so we can move forward. Right? So now you're able to review the information that you provided as well as your documents. If you need to make any changes, you can easily go back to each section. Once everything looks nice and tidy, you can scroll down to the bottom. And hit submit. That's it. Oh, so next is the fee payment. And as you see, you'll have the application fee and the license issuance fee. So the legislation basically states that it's separate, two separate fees. You can give them at separate times, but it's best to just settle it up front unless you believe your license application is going to be denied. I haven't seen it very often at all, so it's just best to go ahead and settle the fees. That way we're not following up with you on the back end and taking extra time to settle the account, and then we're holding the license until you do so. So that way, if it moves really quickly, we can just go ahead and issue. So you'll just put in your transaction details. I believe your top-ups are connected to this. So you just put in a date that you paid. Then you hit continue. And then this is your acknowledgement that you've completed this. You can download your payment receipt here. This is what it looks like. And then that's pretty much it. What happens is you'll get an email showing that your application has been submitted, and that someone will be in contact with you. That's all I got, George.
Thank you very much, Shamika. I'm gonna switch this thing over. Just bear with me for 2 seconds. Okay, can we just all righty, that's the correct one. Just give me 2 seconds while I finish getting set up here. All righty, now during this interim, we can go through some of the questions here. Let me just see. I'm just looking through another one just to confirm that the new deadline date for the submission of economic substance declaration is July 31st. And there will be an industry notice sent out by end of week with this and any other updates that are pertaining to our system or other issues that we are having with the registrar companies. The director's appointment dates and effective date, that is also a known issue that we have with the system. Our developers are currently working on that, and we expect to get that sorted within the next week or couple of weeks. As you can imagine, we are rolling out new services and have to test each one of these things to go through multiple times to ensure that everything's working before it's finalized and released to the industry. There's another question concerning the authorization form that it can be completed and signed by the corporate service provider. The authorization form is signed by somebody by a person who is authorized to make decisions on behalf of that company. So it is signed by whoever has authority to give authority to another user. There should be an agreement in place that specifies this to make filings on behalf of the entity on the registrar company system, and all of that, because the main thing is that there is something in place to back up that authorization. So it is whoever is authorized to sign on behalf of the company. Okay, another one, will the ROC be accepting industry feedback for suggested change, and what is the best way to submit this feedback? Yes, we are accepting feedback. We encourage feedback because, of course, at the end of the day, the end goal is that the system is as user-friendly as possible, and so the way to send in that feedback will be to actually be sending an email to ROC Help Center at gov.bm, where they will be logged, collated, and addressed once we are through this initial go live period. Okay, with that, let's get into the actual presentation part, and we'll come back to answer any additional questions after this. So, one thing that we are finding is that people are not utilizing the system exactly how it was designed to be the best, most functional. Whereas, as far as the user accounts and organizational accounts, now, when you have multiple usernames under one person, that creates issues because as when you are logged in, if you have the same name here for multiple users, what would happen would be you would inevitably make a filing utilizing the wrong user. So that would be like the update profile service. That would be any one of the other services, because the service gets locked to whoever you are logged in as. So for demonstration purposes, I have multiple users that I use for testing purposes for different things. Now, once I am logged in, my user information comes up on this side. From here, I'm able to view all my user information. And I am also able to see all of the organizations that I am a member of. Now, as you can see, right now, I am filing as or on behalf of my organization. So if I was to go in and perform an update profile service, it would be because my organization is authorized to make filings on behalf of that entity. Now, right now, I am currently logged in as myself without an organization selected. So if I was to go in and perform an update profile service, I would have authority over that entity, not my organization. Now, if I meant to come in as if my organization was the one that was supposed to get authority over this entity, I would have to make sure that I am logged in as a representative from that organization. Now, with your user account, as you can see, this actually, if I was a member of multiple organizations, I can use one user, and it would have those additional organizations down here, and I could select which one I want to file on behalf of. Additionally, my user account goes with me. So if I was to leave this organization, what would happen would be the admin user of this organization would remove me from their, let me just go into here. As you can see, this is the list of users for this organization. So once somebody has received the authorization to file on behalf of an entity, any member here can go in under this organization and make filings for that entity. Now, if I was to leave, the admin user of this organization would actually be able to remove me from this organization. And then also another admin user from another organization can add me to their organization. Now, if I was added to another organization, I would have access to make filings on behalf of that organization as an employee of that organization. Now, that would be for an organizational user, adding somebody. So once you add someone to your organization, they have access to make filings on behalf of all entities on that organization. Now, there is another way that authority can be granted from an authorized user. That would be authority to make a particular filing for one particular entity. So just to rehash, if I add someone to my organization, they would have access to make filings on behalf of all of the entities that organization has authority over. Alternatively, and I'm going to go through this process now. Now, just taking a step backwards. As you know, all applications are processed from the context of the entity itself. So as you see on this page, you have all the options to make filings on behalf of this entity. Now, the one that comes to mind for me is if I am the authorized person or organization for this entity, but then another individual is going to be filing an economic substance declaration. What you would do in that instance, you would actually select grant authority. And you can select the authority type to be granted. So you can grant authority. So you can grant authority to a director, and that would actually be linked to a director's filing that we have on file. And under here, you would input their email address. And what would happen would be they would receive an email with an activation code. And that activation code, once they click on the link, if they do not already have a user account, they will be instructed to set up one. If they do have a user account, they would automatically be logged in under the last user account they put in. And this is where it becomes very important, especially for people who are utilizing more than one user account, because once you have selected that you are confirming authority, the authority gets locked to that user. So if you are logged in under the wrong account, it will get registered to that user. Also, if you're logged in under the wrong organization, it will get locked to that organization. Now, the other types of authority that can be granted are to an authorized agent. This is for individuals. So this is if I was operating without an organization and just under my individual account, you would select authorized agent, and you will put their email address inside of here, and they will get an email that allows you to set up to receive authority to make filings on behalf of that entity as an individual. Alternatively, you have the authorized organization agent. So this is when another organization is going to be receiving authority to make a filing. And then once that is done, anybody that is a user under that organization would be able to make that filing. And they would only be able to do that for the entity in question. So if you're going from one organization to another, that will not include any other entities other than the one listed here. Okay. So that was just a quick little run through. I want to give further clarity as far as the users and organizations go. Let's see. At this particular point in time, you can go through a few more questions. Okay, I have a question on here about the how do you delete an organization created an error? So from the organization page, go to maintain the organization. Now, what you can do for now is actually change the name, add do not use to the organization name. And then you can send an email to the ROC Help Center, and we will remove that organization. So for this one, I would enter do not use, error, something along the lines of that. And then the best thing you can do is take a screenshot of the organization name, send it to the ROC Help Center, and we can remove that organization for you. Okay, just another question. For the purpose of filing an ES declaration, it is not always the CSP or corresponding law firm that submits. The entity's insurance manager may be filing, or the entity itself may wish to file. To authorize the insurance manager, for example, do you search the entity and then grant authority to the insurance manager? Are they then restricted to that entity only? Yep, so that was the exact scenario that I was just covering. So if the insurance manager is operating under an individual account, you would grant authority to the authorized agent. If the insurance manager is a registered organization on here, you would grant authority to the authorized organizational agent. And once you have done that, they will only have access to that particular entity. They will not have access to any other entities that are on your that your organization is in charge of. Okay, another one. If the companies are doing the filings, Economic Substance Act in-house, would they be creating an organizational profile? Yes. You must be a registered and logged in user and or organization to make filings on our system. So that will be all applications. I just saw another one that's just brought up. I submitted for a company to be incorporated on May 31st during your transition time. It has not been incorporated yet. Should I submit through the portal, or will you be manually doing this? Concerning those ones, we are actually working on those as we speak. Do not submit it through the portal at this time. The best thing to do is reach out to the registration agent in charge of that portfolio, and then we can work on getting that application finalized. Okay, let's get back to a little bit more demonstration. Now, I especially wanted to make clear about the setting up of debit accounts, because each debit account gets linked to an organization, and then it also has an owner. So one of the problems that we're running into is where people have multiple organizations and multiple users, and they have different users. So it's one person with 2 user accounts, and they are sending an email as instructed with the organizational name and to set up the debit account. Now they're sending in if you send in the email utilizing the wrong user, so you will send in organization, registration division limited, but you are sending it from a username that has a different email address than the person that's actually on here, or you are doing it from another user account. It's not gonna well, once we set up the account, it is not gonna go to the correct person, because what it's gonna pick up is that the user is not a member of that organization. So this is why I'm trying to make everything a little bit easier for people. Make sure that you're utilizing the correct user and the correct organizational account. As I've demonstrated, you can actually your user can be a member of multiple organizations. So in that case, like for instance, like I said, if I have multiple organizations, this user account can be attached to all of those multiple organizations. Sorry. And then so in fact, there is no reason to have multiple users, because you can carry your user with you. And depending on what organization you are logged into, you will have be able to make filings under that organization only while you are logged in as that organizational user. Like I said, so there was another one here, and actually, let me see. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add one of my other users to this organization. that email address. Okay, so what I have just done is I've added another user to this organization. And I'm just going to my email to actually verify that. Okay, while I'm waiting for that to come through, what I actually want to do is I'm actually going to give, so these are all the entities that this organization has authority over. So just to show you, I'm going to grant authority to one of my other users. So you would do that through an email sent out to that user. Now, this is the important part. This is where now I'm showing you from me doing the entire process. But what would be important is making sure that once that person has that email, that when they go in and click to activate, that they are under the correct user. So right now, I'm going to log off and log in as my other user that I'm receiving authority for. As you can see, this user is lined up with a different organization. And this is the email that you would receive. And as you can see, I am actually, now as you saw, I actually submitted an authorized agent for account. So that is for an individual. So as you can see, once that has come, now I am logged in outside of my organization as an individual. And as you can see now, with no organization selected, because I selected an authorized agent, not an authorized organizational agent. Now that entity is now available for me to make filings on behalf of. Now, if I was giving authority to another organization, I would have selected authorized organization agent. Okay, once again, I'm actually moving between accounts. I hope I'm not moving too fast. I know I've been accused of doing that a few times, so I'm trying to slow it down. So as you can see, oh, I actually gave myself authority when I already had it. But basically that's how that is how you grant authority once from an organization for an entity that you already have authority over. Now, one further thing I wanted to go over was the actual debit accounts. So with the debit accounts, once you have submitted your email address, once you have submitted your email to ROC accounts with your organization name exactly as laid out on here, and also with from the user that is going to be the owner of that account, your accounts will show up here. Now, once you have your account here, we receive payments via wire at this time. Now, once you have sent the wire, this is how you notify us of the amount. And these do not have to be individualized payments. In order to cut down on the cost of sending wires, as well as make it easier for the payments to be recorded on our side, it is advised that you group them together. They do not have to be individually marked for certain applications, because how the system works is basically the applications get drawn down at the time of submission. So, for example, what should be happening is if you have, say, for instance, you're going to be requesting 10 certificates of compliance over the next 2 days. Instead of making 10 submissions via here and 10 wires with $95, you would make one submission of $950. And here with here, you would enter in the reference for here. So that is usually the transaction number of the actual wire payment. Now you can select that you put it through an electronic funds transfer, and the date that it was submitted to, that it was submitted online. So that's the date that the wire payment was confirmed online. Now, what happens at this stage is it comes to our internal staff, who then verify that we have received the payment. And then once that has been approved, once it's verified that we've received it, it will be put onto your account and made available for use. Now, we are processing those daily. So if your payment has not been going through within 24 hours, you should contact our accounts team to make sure to verify what's going on. That usually happens when transferring from different banks. Of course, there's the delay there. And then also it might be that if especially with smaller payments, they might not be as enough identification to identify your individual payments. But as long as you have sent it through with the transaction number, and the payment matches up, we should be able to apply those immediately almost. Okay. That covers the majority of the actual uses of the system. I just want to remind everybody, like I said, we are the whole goal of these webinars and all the information that we're putting out, and also the post assistance as well with the system, is to make sure that everybody is as comfortable and is utilizing the system to its fullest ability. Of course, during this stage, there's going to be some teething pains. That is to be expected, and we are working through those as fast as possible. Feedback is always encouraged, and that can be sent to ROC Help Center. And additionally, it can be also directed to myself. And we, like I said, we are collecting all of those. We are reporting any issues that we have with our developers to try to work those out as fast as possible. I've been on the phone and by email a lot this week doing troubleshooting, working through individuals' issues to make sure that everything is getting in, and we reach the end goal, which is to ensure that everybody can come on and make all of the filings they are required to make. It's been a pleasure doing these webinars with people. I enjoy answering everyone's questions and trying to get everybody used to the system. And we anticipate that this is going to be going on for a while, where we're reaching out and assisting people with doing all of their applications, such as the update profile service, and any other applications going forward. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Maria so we can go into the final questions and answers section.
Okay. Is it possible to extend the time and/or to save changes between the period updating a managed company's general information to submitting the update?
I'm assuming that's referring to the update profile service. For those ones, no, it is not. The update profile service does not have a save feature on it. We are looking into that, but right now that would not be a feature that will be added within the next week or so.
Okay, regarding the use of the normal method for removing an authorization, it is the same for an internal authorized person as well as for an external authorized person. Where do we find that, as we cannot see a place to remove the other organization agents from the entity?
Sorry, I'm scrolling through the questions. I think I need to read that one over again.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that one.
Using the normal method for removing an authorization. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that's asking.
Yeah, maybe you can just send that in again. Just rephrase it slightly. Can a law firm and their CSP both use the same debit account?
If they're under one organization. If not, each organization has its own debit account, and then or each user would have their own debit account depending on how they set it up. But a debit account cannot be linked to two organizations.
I think we've gotten quite a few of these questions, that if you've made an error in the update profile process, how can you correct it?
Okay. Concerning the update profile service, the update profile service is designed to basically correct any errors that we might have been coming over with our current data. At this time, we cannot send the update profile services back, and there's no second update profile service. It is a one-time service. We are looking into that, Matt. We are looking into that, and depending on what the decision is, whether that will be made available again. At this time, the main focus that we are doing is actually getting the update profile services done, and getting the authority assigned to the correct CSPs or the correct entities. So for any errors, we'll be looking at working together to ensure that those are rectified over the next couple of weeks.
How do we file a Form 13, or is this handled through the managed entity aspect?
Yep, and actually, this is a good thing about having my system up. Let's see. So, yep, it's all handled through managed entity, and that would be under maintain company, change company address. So that is actually how you make the filing for a registered office. As you see, this is the address of the registered office. And I know out of force of habit, we have all referred to them as the individual forms. The purpose of the system was basically to bring us up to date as far as technology and utilize technology to the fullest. So you're not actually filing a form. You're not filling in a Form 13 and sending it in to us. By entering the data into that service and completing it, the system actually creates the notice of address of registered office.
I have a few companies that I have been told have overpaid annual government fees. Is this captured on the system, or do I have to make notes and remember for next year?
What?
I'm sorry. Yeah, that have been told have overpaid annual government fees. Is this captured on the system, or do I have to make notes and remember for next year?
Okay, for this instance, I would have to know, number one, are they referring to fees that were paid prior to the system launch, or are they referring to they have overpaid fees with new applications that have been submitted? Because any one of those, like I said, we're going through our little teething pains right now. If the system creates a fee that was not expected, then you should be notifying, sending an email to ROC Help Center, and then we can address those. Because that would be a system bug that would be identified and then rectified as soon as possible. While we're on fees, I just wanted to point out the system is actually designed so that it captures fees as well as penalty fees in accordance with legislation. Now, there were some applications whereas people were making submissions for directors registered filing and share capital filings. In those submissions, you put in the effective date, and the Companies Act actually requires you to make those filings within 30 days. So it was adding in if you do not make those filings within 30 days, it was adding in the default fine as per the Act. Now, if there was an issue with getting access to the system, which delayed that, you can reach out to me directly, and we are, like I said, we are working through those issues as we speak.
Are the share premium figures being rounded up, as a recent share premium was filed and it appears to be rounded up?
Okay, a lot of the data that we brought over was is all manually inputted. This is why we brought out the update profile service, to make sure that that throughout the history of the company that the records were up to date. You know what I mean? This sounds like an individual. For this one, like I said, you can send an email concerning the actual application, include in the name, registration number of the company. Also, if you can include in screenshots, because this will be part of the second data verification, where we would look into our figures, see what's actually on file, see what's on our historical records, and then we would work to make sure that we have the correct information in our system.
Okay, and George, can you just address, I've received a number of questions on this. how does a CSP revoke authority either from like one of their employees that might have left the CSP, or if another organization was granted authority to make, say, an economic substance filing, how does the CSP then revoke this authority?
Okay, for an individual, you would actually do that from this page. Sorry, not that one. So as you can see, once you have a user that's actually set up, you can actually delete this user from your organization. Now, as far as revoking the authority, at this stage, if you have to revoke the authority from another individual, at this stage you can contact us, and we would actually be able to revoke that authority. Additionally, let me just not under that one. The one that I just did it on there. Yeah, at this stage you have to actually send it in to the registrar of companies, and we can revoke the authority from an individual or an organization.
Okay. Under the completed tab for requests for information / certificates, the name of the entity does not get listed in the transaction details. Is this being changed with the updates?
This has been identified, and we like I said, as far as making changes on the actual system, what we do, especially for enhancements, we have to collect a good bit of those at one time, and then make one release. Anytime we change anything with the system, the entire system gets re-released. It's not like something gets changed and it just gets updated on the system. Every time we make a change, we have to take down the entire site, and it brings up a new version of that site. So we try to do that as little as possible. So in order to do that, what we do is we actually get our developers to build that out. It goes through multiple testing phases to make sure everything works properly. And then an entirely new release gets put out. So the next scheduled release, the next phase 2 of the system, where we roll out additional items, would be in August. That's phase 2. For any what we call priority 1 errors, that is errors that affects the entire system. Those ones we are handling on a case-by-case basis and trying to get them rolled out as fast as possible. So for instance, the issue with people not being able to save the declarations or to save the economic substance declarations as they were performing them. What we did was we put a rush on that. We got our developers to look into the issue. They found out what was going on. They fixed it in our test sites. Actually, which is actually the site I'm on. I'm actually utilizing one of our test sites right now. This is not the live system that I've been doing the webinars on. But they utilize our test sites. They test it. Then it gets released out to us. We have to perform testing on it internally. And then what they did was on Sunday at midnight, they took the entire site down and they brought out a completely new release with that fix involved, and also containing all of the other data that we already had on the system. So yeah, like I said, so all of those things are being all of the enhancements such as this have been noted, and we're looking at hopefully including those in future releases.
Will the MOA printed from the new system be stamped? The second page of the letter of authorization requires the subscribers to stamp that page upon incorporation. Please advise, as the second page of the letter of authorization would not be considered a constitutional document of an entity. Stamped, I'm not sure, are we talking about revenue stamps?
I believe that we're talking about the revenue stamps.
Yeah.
So that's actually we covered that with the tax office, with the tax commissioner's office. So basically, that document is verifying the signatures as required under the Companies Act, and is also being attached to the company records. So we will be looking at actually attaching that second page to the memorandum of associations for local companies. So those are the only ones that require stamp duty.
When inputting the authorized share capital of a company with various share classes and par value, what is the proper way to show the issued share capital so it does not calculate the requested par value incorrectly on the system?
Okay, we are currently where the authorized share capital has been, that issue has been noted, and we are currently working with our developers on a solution for that. The best way to do that for now is to ensure that you have the complete, the accurate total authorized share capital in that currency. And then, like I said, we are working with our developers and should hopefully get that out as soon as we go through all of, like I said, the process that we have to go through. We'll be able to release out that.
I'm not sure, George, if we went over the time frame that we expect to get the update profiles approved, completed.
Oh,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You might want to address that. I'm sorry.
All right. So concerning the update profiles, as you know, we've actually, let me see. I just want to get it accurate. Just bear with me for 2 seconds. Okay, currently our staff has processed over 5,250 of those in the past week and a bit since go live. Oh, actually, yeah. Oh, it's been 2 weeks. Time flies. So we processed currently 5,250 of those. We currently have 1,500 that we are still working through. With those ones, and as well as ones that are submitted this week, we are looking at having those finalized by the end by end of week, and by end of week I mean by Sunday. So in other words, we will be working around the clock to get those things in, and hopefully the goal is to get all of them that are submitted correctly, and everything is fine, and we can go through to get those ones done by Sunday.
One last question. Where would someone order a tax assurance certificate?
Currently, at this time, tax assurances should be ordered either at the time of incorporation or outside of the system. So with those ones, you can send an email up to the ROC Daily Applications. Prior to sending that in, coordinate with the registration agent responsible, so we can ensure that we get that done. That will be added to the system shortly.
Okay, actually, we have just one more question. I think I've received a couple of the same sorts of questions for this particular one. Will there be a list of fees on the portal?
Yes. So eventually, like I said, this is phase one. In phase one, our main goal was to release the system and to make sure everyone's set up and using the system, and then also to correct any bugs and make sure the system's working as designed. Now, in later phases, we are going to be adding a lot more information. We'll be putting another central management system on top of this system that would be able to provide all the information as far as what you have to do for filings, what you have to do for fees, all of those. So and then also that would be the central spot for the registrar companies' information that we are putting out to the public and the industry.
Okay, so that's time. We've reached the end of our webinar. I want to thank all of you for being patient with us. We are limited staff and we're trying to get through everything as quickly and concisely as possible. Again, if you need questions answered, it's ggouterbridge@gov.bm and mbudrum@gov.bm. We have received numerous questions. We're trying to get through all of them. Like George said, we will be posting questions and answers, but right now our main focus is going to be to get through all the update profiles and to do some more. I've also received questions on like past historical information or data on company files. That's all being migrated over slowly but surely. So again, thank you all for attending and have a great day.